this? What was being said in 2002 then?
Shit.
Since we're wrong, tell us what was being said in 2002.
I don't know.
Then shut the fuck up.
What's up, what it is, what it do? Welcome back to my channel, Capital J. Today we discussing Gil's Arena. We actually covering an episode of Gil's Arena, Gilbert Arenas, Nick Young, Brandon Jennings, Kenya Martin, Meta World Peace, and also the moderator Josiah, can't leave him out. They're talking about the conversation that T-Mac had when he was on ESPN. For those that didn't see it, I'll try to drop a video in there, drop a reference in there. So, and Gilbert was also on that episode of Sports Center as well, but he brought it back to his own podcast to have the further have the conversation, and Meta World Peace happened to be a special guest on the episode, and things got spicy. Nick Young, he got upset.
I don't have to agree with you.
He has his prerogative. Brandon Jennings has his prerogative.
Your work ethic ain't like Kobe. I don't ever put Kobe and T-Mac in the same conversation.
What basically is going on is Kenya Martin, Meta World Peace, and Gilbert Arenas, they were all in the league together. They're trying to explain to Nick Young and Brandon Jennings how the league was and what the discussion was. And there is a disconnect between those three that were in the league together and Nick Young and Brandon Jennings as to what the conversation was, whether it was in a locker room, whether it was the media. There's a disconnect on understanding what was taking place, the conversation that was taking place around the world, not even just in the league, around the world. Anyone that paid attention to the NBA at that time knew what was going on. We knew exactly what was going on. So let's get into it. Let's look at this episode and let's see what comes out of it.
I agree with T-Mac saying he would have won a ring if he played with the Prime Shaq.
Shit, I would have too.
Shit, I would love to. Hey, I would love to have replaced Derek Fisher. Okay. Shit, I sit in this corner, boss man.
One ring as a number two option.
No, I don't know what you talking about. We all was number two options.
Okay, no, that's what
Yeah.
Like the whole league, that's what makes it stupid to argue. The whole league was number two options. If Duncan would have went there, number two. If Duncan was there, number two. If KG was there, everybody is number two.
You seen his stats?
Number two.
Stats?
Can he get out the first?
2001, 2002.
Yeah.
So you saying
He averaged 32.
saying what year?
The Orlando. He's talking about the Orlando.
Orlando T-Mac was earlier. That T-Mac was crazy.
I don't think the work ethic
The Orlando T-Mac, he's saying if he took the Orlando T-Mac that averaged 32 and that, and you replace him and put him with Kobe, he's the same person.
Yeah, it was a point in time where
That's what
T-Mac.
he's talking about that. He's talking about that time.
It was a point in time where T-Mac was like, we were saying it. It was like a point in time where everybody was like, oh, who's better? It was a point in time like for 2 or 3 years. That was the conversation. And Kobe.
Everybody thought I was stupid.
Never got out the first round.
But he's not. Dog, what are y'all talking?
We get the Orlando 32. We get that. You're not doing 32 and half. He's doing even the one that he's saying.
You're wrong. Are y'all stupid niggas? Like he's saying, if you take me and put me in there, I can average 22 and win the championship. That's everybody say the same shit. If you sub me with motherfucking Derek Fisher, nigga, I can win the championship with that.
We don't know that.
Yeah, we do.
We don't know chemistry. We don't know that.
Goddamn.
We don't know that.
Y'all just argue. The nigga got what they had to work.
Niggas with
You just want to put people next to you.
They don't understand the presence of Shaq. For those that don't know, that don't understand the presence of Shaq being on the floor, this is an example of somebody that never seen and doesn't understand the presence of Shaq in his prime, especially on the Lakers. There is no discussion at that time in the league. There was a complete hierarchy in the league. The number one player in the league was Shaquille O'Neal. And I'm sorry to say this, but the caliber that Tracy McGrady was, the caliber of player that Tracy McGrady was, yes, you could trade Kobe Bryant off of the Lakers for Tracy McGrady, and Tracy McGrady would have rings. But this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous that they got to go back and forth with these guys that actually played in the league, and they can't seem to connect these dots.
If y'all wasn't in the league, were you in the league then? Do you think the Orlando, the nigga that won the scoring time, if you replaced him with Kobe, does he have a chance to win a championship?
I mean, under that scenario, probably.
Okay. Kenyon?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
100%.
Okay. The people that
Can you also set yourself in that same position?
It is one.
You was 12.
Your work ethic ain't like Kobe.
They chose Kobe.
There's 20 on that team.
Yes, it does.
28
Nigga,
Yeah, it is when you got a motherfucker averaging 35 and 5 is more than enough.
38 one year too.
Yeah.
More than enough.
Kobe, don't ever put Kobe and T-Mac in the same
They did.
Well, don't.
Only for a couple years.
I said it. Hold on.
It was like 2 years.
Hold on. You wasn't there. You was in middle school. You was in middle school. You was in high school for the 25. Meta.
This is loser talk. This is
Meta,
loser talk.
can you tell me?
This is loser talk.
Can you tell me exactly when Kobe had 3 rings and T-Mac was doing what T-Mac was doing? What were we saying again?
In that era. And it was about 3 years where everybody was saying they didn't know who was better.
They didn't know who was better.
It was just in that point
They
in time.
act like I was not there and I was not in the locker room and we was having these discussions and one was 3 rings.
This is
Jesus. Right. They act like I made it up myself. They act like I made this shit up my fucking self.
That's fine.
It wasn't my opinion, nigga. It was a fact. He came on here and said the same thing. And y'all want to argue with the niggas that was there.
It can't be a fact if you don't get out the first round and do shit. Come on, man.
That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. That's not what they talking. Oh my God, bro. I can't be a moderator. How are you arguing with guys that were literally in the league, in the locker room, on the court with these guys? They're telling you what it was. Not me and you. Me and you, we were consumers. We were on the outside watching the games on TV, and then we would go to ESPN Sports Center and then see them say, yo, we don't know who's better. You splitting hairs. Do you like T-Mac? Do you like Kobe? Because they're pretty much the same player if you watch them on the court. That's me and you. These guys on the couch, they were literally in the league, in the locker room. They the ones that was having the back channel conversations, you know what I'm saying, in the locker room, talking to teammates and stuff like that. Yo, like, yo, you know what I'm saying? We got Kobe today. We got T-Mac today. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how we gonna do this. You know what I'm saying? They the ones that was in the league that have the facts. How can you argue against people that were literally in the league at the time and they're giving you the facts? How are you arguing against that? The only way, I'm gonna give Nick Young and Greg and Brandon Jennings some leeway. The only way they could not even argue, the only way they could have a point is if they're pointing out something that was not considered and they're able to substantiate it to where it makes sense. That's the only way. But outside of that, how are you arguing this? And then you're getting upset because the ones that were actually there that have the facts, they're telling you that you're wrong. How are you upset about that? Why is it that you want your narrative to be, I'm talking about Brandon Jennings and Nick Young. How is it that you want your narrative and the way you see things, you want that to be more correct than the ones that actually was in the league based on the topic that we're talking about?
We're talking about 2002, what was being actually said, dog.
That nigga was averaging 29, he was third in the league in scoring.
Who? You. This nigga was averaging 32 a game, scoring, and nigga getting triple teamed. Nobody in the league was guarding T-Mac. That's what the conversation was.
It's amazing these days, right?
These niggas are stupid.
Rather argue like
instead of listening.
You niggas will always think y'all right. You're not right.
We were there.
I don't have to agree with you. I don't have to agree with you. I don't give a fuck what y'all. I don't have to agree.
What is your thing? What you are wrong. You niggas. We're there. We're game playing.
Niggas act like I gotta agree with you. You don't have. You're not right. Shut that shit up. That's thinking on my nerves.
Nah, Nick, you could miss the set with that because you're not right. That's just not how it works. You're not gonna tell your father how it was back in the 70s and 80s. You're not gonna tell him how it was. How can you do that? You can miss me with the loud and the screaming. Nah, you can miss me with that. You're wrong.
Let's go. We're not right, and we were there. And we're game planning. We're talking. We're guarding these 2 men. We're not right. How about this? What was being said in 2002 then? Since we're wrong, tell us what was being said in 2002.
I don't know. I was a Kobe fan.
I hate you niggas that got opinions and then you don't have an educated fucking.
See, there's another issue happening here that's bigger than just this conversation. The issue that is taking place here that we don't even realize that we're seeing is we're seeing Nick Young and Brandon Jennings. They're not able to critically think. They're not able to critically be able to understand that, listen, if you simply just trade Kobe and T-Mac, that based on everything we do know about Kobe and T-Mac and the stats they put up and their skill set and stuff like that, they're not able to equate T-Mac being on the team with the Lakers and seeing the Lakers still have the same results if you traded T-Mac and Kobe. That's what's happening here. And Gilbert specifically is becoming frustrated with that. But also the other two, Nick Young and Brandon Jennings, at least in this video, I don't know them personally, but at least in this video, they're so ignorant, and because at that time they was like this. But still, there's a certain level of like I believe like cognitive ability to where it's like, yo, they have the information, so you know what I'm saying, they know like the facts of the facts, because they were in the locker room and it was on the court. And the fact that they're egotistically still trying to point out things that are irrelevant tells me that they don't have critical thinking skills. This is just something that I'm observing. I could be wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. You could say I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I'm just pointing out something that I'm observing, you know what I'm saying, and I'm pointing out. But tell me if I'm wrong if you disagree. I'm perfectly fine with it either way.
Point in time.
Sounds like it was a lot of haters in that too.
Oh, no, I probably
offended what was being talked about in 2000.
I probably Legos when this shit was going on. They don't know what the fuck.
I probably had a hard time with Kobe.
So we're gonna cut it right there. There's a few things that I take from this episode, especially with me viewing it, and thank you for viewing it with me if you made it this far. The few things that I take from this episode is Nick Young specifically is unable to think critically. The next thing that I basically, you know, and we thought about it, and this is with all due respect to Kobe Bryant, because Kobe is my guy. As I said, I'm literally a Laker fan. If you, at that time, T-Mac was a caliber of a player that was on par with Kobe. So yes, based on the concept, this is a concept we talk about. The concept of playing on the Lakers with a prime Shaquille O'Neal, Tracy McGrady was the same caliber of a player as Kobe Bryant. In my personal opinion, my humblest opinion, Tracy McGrady would have rings if he played on the Lakers with Shaquille O'Neal during that 2001-2004 era. He would have rings. I'm not going to say how many rings he would have, but he would definitely have at least one ring. That's another thing I take from this. The third thing I take from this, I'm going to point out something that kind of has nothing to do with the conversation. And I've seen this a few times with other podcasts, like Brandon Marshall's I Am Athlete. What I'm seeing is Nick Young and Brandon Jennings, and I mean, this is classic, but I also think that it gets to a certain point where we can't work together. I'm not trying to put anything out there. I'm not trying to pull something out of the sky or anything. I'm just saying that on the basis of you're arguing with Gilbert Arenas, Kenya Martin, and Metta World Peace about facts. I perfectly understand if we're arguing about something subjective. If Nick Young and Brandon Jennings said they don't think that T-Mac would have 3 rings with Shaq, or if he would have won a ring at all, I could see that, and I kind of gotta respect it because it's a what if. Now, with that being said, I'm gonna drop the original video in the description. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Drop your comments down. I love seeing your comments. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for watching my videos. Peace.
We're Bugattis, right? Okay. Ferrari. I got Hondas with me. Who's really winning this race?
That's right.